Hey everyone, this is Wei and welcome back. Let's draw another hairstyle, and this time I'll be drawing curly hair. So let's get started and I'll talk about the process along the way. Alright, so let's draw this curly hair. I know it looks kind of crazy. And her hair, it's not that curly, but it's, for the really curly ones, it's kind of the same thing. It's just a lot more, I guess a lot more work. Alright, so I'm just gonna, let me sketch in her face real quick. And I'm just gonna do this side, her left side of her face. I mean, yeah, her left side. Sorry. Because there's just so much of it, and it's very repetitious. So let me sketch in the hair right now. So I'm just gonna concentrate on this part. So first, with any kind of hair, you really need to kind of identify the flow, right? Like here's her eye. Like what is it doing, right? It's kind of like curving in here, and there's a curl here, and then we go with that. So, just kind of right around the face, what is it doing? So let's go into more detail. We can see, let's see, we can rough in the outside first. It's gonna give us some kind of framing around the hair. It's kind of like this, okay? So very, very rough. I mean, if you just look at both edges, kind of like, just do those first. And then here, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna start down up here. It curls in like this, comes out, and there's a lot of highlights and shadowing, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in terms of shading, how you can do this kind of stuff. But at first, we still kind of have to find the general flow of the hair. So right now I'm just kind of sketching in the flow. So it looks like it comes out this way and it goes over. Okay, so I know it might be a little bit hard to see, but I mean, we don't have to be exact, right? Well, here's another clump that kind of goes over this way, and it looks like this one comes over, highlights here, and then another line here, and then some other clumps. I mean, it's kind of following the same flow almost. All right. So let's see, this is coming over, this kind of comes out, and it turns back in, and then there's another piece that goes over this way. I hope I'm reading it right. And then there's a clump here, judging from the highlights. Okay, let's see how much lower, come down. It's another curve out here, and another clump here. All right, so let's just go with this. I mean, because without shading it, it's kind of hard to see, right? But once we shade it, we should be able to get a lot more definition in this. All right, so let's start shading this. Okay, so there's one clump here coming straight down. I'm gonna start, right where the seam is, and for the shading, it's kind of like, these kind of strokes. It's very hard, but then just kind of flickering, let it taper off, and it makes a nice taper at the end, so it kind of looks like hair at the same time. Okay, so with the curls, it's dark because it sinks in, right, obviously, and as it comes back out, it just catches the light or whatever angle it happens to be. So this kind of flickering works really well for it, because like here, I know there's a highlight here, so I'm gonna leave it, and then this part is dark, and then it comes up, and then there's another highlight right here, and then it kind of goes back down again. So I'm gonna flick this way so I can get this highlight right here. Okay, so you get that nice little highlight. And I mean, you can do it with, you go in and do it slowly. You don't have to use this kind of flickering, and it might be a little bit more accurate, but it's just, it's a little painful. I don't want to go too crazy. It's not. I mean, unfortunately, drawing hair is just not a lot of fun. And I know it looks really nice, when it's done correctly and things like that, and when you spend like how many, 20-30 hours on it. But in general, yeah, it's a little painful. All right, so I'm seeing it a little bit more. Let's see. This part's dark right here. Okay, and then this part comes out a little bit. So again, the same kind of strokes to get those little highlights, and then this part's dark in here. Okay, so it's starting to develop, you know, you're seeing the little kind of the roller coaster kind of, you know, feel to the hair. And if you're not sure, it's better to kind of leave the whites a little bit, you know, just so that you know, you always have the option of going darker. Because if you go too dark at the beginning, then you kind of paint yourself in the corner. So like right here is a little bit messy. I mean, there's strands going over and under, and depending on how much time you want to spend on it, you know, you can do that, or you can kind of simplify it, kind of like what I'm doing right now. I'm just kind of forgetting about the little stuff, you know, so we don't end up pulling our hair out. Haha. I wish I had a drum beat for that. Alright. So up here, there's a little bit of hair right here. And the hair is really dark, so there's a lot of shine to it. So I'm using a 6B pencil, it's a little bit easier. So I'm just kind of concentrating on this area so you can. And up here is a little bit flatter, it's a little bit more wavy, so it's not really like the curly hair. Alright, so let's go back down here. Okay, more dark areas, highlights, and so you can leave the highlights right here. Like there's a bunch of highlights right around here, right? There's a long highlight right here, but it's broken up into little strands later. But we can do this first. Get this big highlight first, okay? So once we have this, we can go in, and this is kind of like the later stages. You can go in and break that up. So you give it more volume, like more complexity. So right, so now it looks like there's you know, 3 or 4 individual strands going through. So that's kind of how you have to work at this, is to you know, get the big curls in, and then you can always cut it up. You know, cut up the hair a little bit more. Here. So it's not all dark, you know, it's nice to have little variations in the hair, because there, you know, you have the highlights, the darks, and then also the you know, the midtones, kind of like the real hair color. So here, more curls. Let's do this one big one right here. Very messy right here. So I'm trying to leave, you know, this little strand right here. So again, you know, if you spend more time on it, you know, you can actually just draw in little strands like this, and then, you know, that way you can leave it white, but it's a lot more time consuming. Okay, so this part gets a little messy. Okay, let me see. Yeah, let's finish this up here, this area right here a little bit more. So once we have this, now I can go in and kind of touch up little areas. kind of make the the edges a little bit cleaner, a little bit more well defined. We can go in and kind of clean up those transitions as it goes in and out, right? Or we can even add in a couple of strands here and there, loose strands, little details. And so this stage is where we can really make it come to life a little bit more as we're putting in the details. And I'm using a 6B and it's getting pretty blunt right now. I'm just gonna leave it. I don't wanna, if I sharpen it now, it's kind of gives a very different look. So as I'm doing this, I'm looking at the reference, but at the same time, I'm also just kind of looking at what I've done, because since I haven't copied it exactly, there's really no reason to, not deviate from the reference, because what's important is what I have here, not what I see in the reference. So I'm just kind of taking major cues from the reference and trying to find those big areas, and little hints and details I can put in onto mine to make it look good. Right? So it's kind of getting there. Let's see a little bit more. Okay, so I think I pushed this far enough. I mean, I might finish up on the other side and maybe do a little bit more, but overall, that's kind of how you want to approach the curly hair. So the first is just trying to find, the flow, and then once you have the flow, then with the shading, you just kind of do this little flickering and find where the highlights are. Try to keep those, and then shade around it so you get the highlight. So you're pulling the highlights out by making the surrounding areas dark, and then it's just a matter of how much details you want, and you just kind of keep shading and kind of refine it a little bit more and more, and before you know it, you'll have decent looking hair. Okay, so I hope you guys find this useful in drawing curly hair, which is a real pain in the butt. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I will see you next time.